potent advice, and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to The Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jaime Masters.
Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jaime Masters, and I'm excited to have Adam Hudson on the show. Now, he's a serial entrepreneur ranging from cloud-based software to homewares to Amazon business, and you run Reliable Education. So it's reliable.education, which is amazing. Where there's no .com, it is just that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Adam.
Great to be here, Jaime. Thank you.
I love your domain name, number one, because I was like, wait a minute, the dot is in between, right? It was a little confusing at first. What made you decide to choose that?
Well, we getting great domains now that are short are actually quite difficult to find in the .com. So we saw some big guys were starting to go into these, different TLDs. So we decided to go to just reliable.education, and it's just much easy to remember, and it works really well for us. Hasn't affected our ranking at all.
That's amazing. Tell me a little bit, because you do have such a breadth of experience in general in different types of businesses. What do you think the learning curve is? Because I hear people that are like, oh, SaaS business, you got to learn this, and then you got to learn this for Amazon. But it seems like you're in a couple different spaces. So you tell me, how long has it taken you to sort of understand each space?
Yeah, well, look, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I'm just approaching 43 now. And last time I had a job, I was 20. So I've been self-employed for that long. So over 20 years of being in business, you sort of learn a lot. So I'm certainly not just starting out. And so to get across the different companies, it looks like a lot because I have 4 separate companies, but they're all around the Amazon ecosystem now. But my story prior to that was I owned an animation company in Hollywood, California, which was a successful business, but it involved a lot of people and selling services. And I was really looking to, and it was online, all our marketing was online, but we had physical offices in LA. And I wanted to get into online, only for the same reasons everybody does. And so I started just a little side business selling it on Amazon. And then as I grew, I saw other services that sellers needed and sort of filled those gaps as well.
See, that's a perfect trajectory. So tell me, though, why you went from the agency type model, because that's the thing. It's usually faster to revenue, but it's also annoying as all heck. So tell me about that transition.
You mean from the animation company?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was mainly the people in the offices. Like, I would wake up in the morning with $100,000 bill in front of me every month just to pay the employees and the staff and the office and the AdWords and all that sort of stuff. So waking up in the morning on the first of every month and knowing you need to make $100,000 to pay the bills, no matter what anyone tells you, that's stressful after a while. And most of my, physical business people deal with the same stress. It's extremely stressful in traditional business for that reason,
Overhead is ridiculous. Yeah. Starting every single month going, okay, sell, right? But it is very, but unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but we are sold this dream of passive income, and look at the leverage we have without an office and no overhead. But the real truth, because you have everything behind on the Amazon side too. There's still overhead. So tell me what you love about this side and what you don't like about this side too, because I feel like we idolize it a little bit too much.
Well, I think the fundamental thing that I learned all my career, I'd always been in service businesses, animation companies, finance companies. I had the first crowdfunding platform in the world down here in Australia where I first started it. We raised, well over $100 million for entrepreneurs and stuff. But effectively, we were selling services. And the problem with selling services is you're selling time, either yours or somebody else's. And if it's somebody else's, you have to spend your time managing the somebody else. So it wasn't until I found Amazon that I'd ever created a physical product. And the advantage at a fundamental level of a physical product is that people are buying the product, not your time. And so these sales occur when I don't even know about it. I just get an email from Amazon saying you made a sale. And so that shift, it's very, very subtle, but when it actually happens, it's quite phenomenal to have an email and somebody telling you made money rather than you go, yeah, I know I made the money. I just made the sale myself. So it's a big, big difference. So that was the attraction to a physical products business.
Now, the leverage is totally there. You don't have to be the guy selling it, but it also has a hard cost of goods sold also. So trying to level that piece up is also interesting for margins and cash flow. So how did you end up pushing? Because that's what people don't realize when we start to get into the Amazon space. Because you said you listened to Steve's interview, Steve too. And so it's a trend. People are hopping on this. We're trying to sort of give the real facts on where we're at right now. So first, tell me about that. Like, how do we cash flow, especially getting into the space?
Well, it's a great question, and it's something that the education industry doesn't cover very much. There's a lot of this top line quoting of revenue. Oh, come and learn in our course and you'll be making 100,000 a month in revenue. And that number is completely irrelevant, because in business, it's not about turnover, it's about leftover.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. How much have you got left? It's no good doing 100,000 sales if you're spending 101,000 to get those sales. And that's very nuanced. And in particular in Amazon, there's a million ways to hide those numbers. For example, Amazon pay-per-click ads, they can chew up all of your profit and all this sort of stuff. So in what we teach with Amazon is we said to people, look, you probably, if you're successful in Amazon in the first year, you won't make any money, and you definitely won't make any in the second. And people sort of, and that's if you're successful. And people's eyes sort of start to spin and go, why is that? And I say, well, it's a physical products business. So if you sell an iPhone case and that iPhone case does well, what's the first thing you're going to want to do? You're going to want to expand into another iPhone case, and chances are you didn't buy enough inventory in the first place to satisfy the demand that's there in Amazon, because Amazon's an absolute beast. The demand is, I'm still investing into my Amazon business with lines I started 4 years ago trying to keep up with the demand, which is because Amazon's growing like 20% plus a year. So just if you get one product that's successful, you've got to keep up with that 20% growth, which is more inventory just in the line you have, let alone the lines you want to launch. So Amazon businesses chew cash like crazy because they're a physical product that you're selling. So the good news is there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I say to people, treat a physical products business like an investment. So if you start with $10,000 in inventory and you turn that inventory over at 30% in 6 months, you've got $13,000 back from your $10,000 investment. And if you can do that twice a year, which is very realistic in the Amazon market, you're getting 60% ROI on your money, which is triple what Warren Buffett's been able to do throughout his career. He averages about 20%. So when you look at Amazon as a mechanism for compounding cash, it changes the way that you view the platform, because fundamentally that's all it is. It's a place you put money in and pull it out with a margin. And big money is starting to realize this now. It's an extremely efficient compound interest machine for capital. And the name of the game is to get your inventory level to a point where it will produce enough cash flow through those cycles that you can now sit back. And let's say you've got 100,000 in inventory that you turn over twice a year at a 30% margin. You make $30,000 every time that you rotate the inventory. If you do it twice a year, you have a $60,000 a year income of a $100,000 inventory base. So the only question is, how do I get to the $100,000 inventory base as quick as possible? And that is by compounding and not spending your profits as soon as they come in.
So that's the thing. People are like, I have money. Oh, wait. Now I have nothing to sell.
Exactly.
Awesome. And there's this line, especially for new business owners. But and this is what we talked about on Steve's interview, where because this seems like such a trend, yes, Amazon is growing, but also the amount of people searching to try and be like you because you're successful and awesome is also going up, right? And so the amount of competition is way bigger also. So what we should be afraid of, if we're risk averse, is we invest in all this product and then go, oh, wait, we thought we were going to sell this much because we did for the past 6 months and now we're not. So what do you tell people on that side?
Well, it's kind of counterintuitive. And we realize that what people really want is a reliable business, right? Most people out there they've been around long enough to know that the thing that's easy and quick is usually not easy and quick, right?
Finally. People finally understand this. Yes, great. Yes.
People are finally getting this, and we went to market with our Amazon course, for example, saying to people, you won't make money for 3 years. You will not do this full time for 3 years from now. Do not bank on it. Keep your job, keep your other business, compound your profits, and then in 3 years, you should have a reliable ongoing income. And people told us we'd never, ever sell a course. No way. There's no way. You've got to put a headline that's going to be the complete opposite of that. And you know what? We sell plenty of the course because people are loving the fact that finally it's making a mathematical sense and a logical argument for a real exit from the day-to-day. So the question, sorry, what was the question, Jamie? The competition.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of competition, what I always say to people is what you want to be afraid of is what's easy, because what's easy means it's easy for somebody else. So we teach people that the work in starting an e-commerce business is in the research and in the subtle, softer stuff. So yes, use software. Steve mentioned Jungle Scout, which is a great product by Greg. We have a competitive product to Jungle Scout called Zon Guru. A few slight differences, but Greg's got a great product as well.
I like what you did there, by the way. That was smooth. Like, my competition's cool. We have but that was cool.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way.
They've done a great job. I mean, they really, and he's a great person. So, but the research phase is great, right? So you need to research carefully. But when you're researching, be aware of what's scaring you, because what's scaring you is scaring others. And we sort of teach our students that what you want to stay away from is the easy to get into markets where it requires a low investment. So most people love things like iPhone cases that you can buy in China for $1 and sell for 10. So I would run from those sorts of niches. My cheapest product retails for 40 and I go up to 130. And at that 130 retail price where I'm spending $30 a unit, or $25 a unit to get it there, there's much, much fewer people willing to go out and buy, 500 units of something that costs $30 to start. And so therefore I'm in niches where I want to be the premium. I'm not afraid of being the most expensive guy on Amazon for what I sell. I only sell 10 products and most of those products are on page 1 or 2, despite the fact that the next nearest guy to me price-wise is literally half the price. So my $40 item, the next guy is 20 and everyone else is cheaper, and mostly they're giving more of the product than what I give. And the reason I do that, I'm able to get that money, is because of the premium photography, premium packaging, and I'm in niches where those things actually matter. So I go into things that are harder, that require taste. I like to sell things where design matters, because if you're selling a functional item that people just don't really care about, it doesn't matter. It's a price-driven product. But if it's something that people are going to gift, or it's something that people are going to put on display in their house where design matters, that's why I always say women are great at this, because they tend to have an eye for this detail, and that they're great shoppers, whereas guys are much more process-driven. So if you can get into things where design matters, the nuance, the subtleties matter, that's where I go, and I charge a premium price. My margins are 40% plus on everything I sell, which is outrageous for Amazon.
I love hearing that. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. Okay, so but question, because does branding matter when you're involved in all this? Do you care about your brand, or do you have something like that?
Absolutely, it matters long term. So I'm only interested at this age in my life in building stuff that's going to be here long term. I'm not interested in selling hot products. I'm not interested in jumping onto trends, because trends come and go, and I've spent that time to build it.
Yes, and it's a pain in the butt to have to change again and again and again. Yeah.
I look for evergreen, non-cyclical, non-trendy stuff that's been around forever. But I want to find a way to make it better and spend that time dealing with the manufacturer. And most people don't do that. They just want to make money. So they go to the manufacturer. Oh, it's good enough, fine, just send it to Amazon. And then they find out they've got a problem, and then it's a dead end, because as soon as you get the bad reviews, it's game over. But no, the reason I love a brand, and something interesting happened yesterday. I got a phone call through our company website from a lady going, "Oh, look, I just want to know how much this product is supposed to weigh." And I was like, wow, that is an odd question. I have never been asked how much it should weigh. And I told her, and she goes, "Oh, that's good, because I was trying to sell it secondhand. I've had it for a year. I was trying to sell it on eBay, and a guy came around and he said he owned one of yours, and he wanted to just make sure it was an original one of yours." And I was like, "I bought this thing from China and packaged it, but they wanted to verify the authenticity of my brand." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm literally becoming a Louis Vuitton here,
You're like designer.
So it was just a great pat on the back that I'd packaged and branded myself so well that people are now considering it a legitimate brand. I mean, I started this thing part-time 4 years ago around my animation company. It just sort of took off and grew, but I paid attention from day one to the branding, because now others are trying to come in, and I've had a couple of people copy some of my stuff, and people are commenting on my competitors' products and saying, "Yeah, these are nice, but they're not as good as the real thing over here," And the real thing is just a better logo, photography, and box,
I love that we can do that. Not that I mean, you're probably better in lots of other ways, efficiency and all that other fun stuff too as a business, because that's the other piece that people don't see behind the scenes of really caring about what you do, unlike a lot of other people that are out there. But why Amazon? Like if somebody had the choice right now, because you also have a cloud software company. So, and no offense, that's also a hot trend right now. So people are like, oh, build a SaaS company and it's got so many margins and you don't need a lot of people. So you tell me, would you pick right now between SaaS or Amazon?
SaaS is a great way to lose money for a long time. It's one of my wealthiest friends, he's probably worth about $100 million. And he's one of my best friends, has a SaaS company, and he sort of mentored me into the SaaS space. And he rings me up today and he goes, how much money are you losing this month on your SaaS product? And then he'll ring me up next month. Okay, how much money are you losing this month? And the key is that every time I answer the question, it has to be less than last month. And then after a year, you spend money for 18 months, 2 years, depending on the product. And then it gets to a point, because there's subscriber base, where you have to have customer support. You have to have ongoing development. The market that you develop the SaaS product for is changing. So your code needs to change, your features have to change, and so on. But what happens is you hit a point where you break even, and then you start continue to acquire customers, and then you slowly build income. And I love the SaaS business because it's really hard, and it's really expensive, and but the numbers are phenomenal once you get past the break-even point, and they're very valuable businesses in the event of an exit. So SaaS is definitely long-term a very hard business to beat, but very hard to compete with. The other thing I don't like about SaaS is you're competing with very smart people. People who actually make it to the start line and actually get past that break-even point are smart. Nobody dumb does that, So you've got very intelligent competitors in the SaaS space. But the good news is if you just have 1,000 customers, and you're paying you $50 a month or something, you can do well. So SaaS is cool, but it burns money. It's difficult, and unless you have a tech background, it can be really stressful because you mostly don't know what you're dealing with. You're relying on third parties. The reason I love Amazon, and the reason that it's the only thing I've ever taught people how to do, and I've had a number of successful businesses. I've sold several, and I've taken one public, and I've got a very strong background in business. But the only reason I teach Amazon is because of the things that people teach out there. The average person, most of them don't have it within them to be an expert at something. They might be an expert, but they can't sell. They can't sell themselves as an expert, and they don't feel comfortable in front of a camera and all those things. Or they want to go to e-commerce because they love the business model, but they don't really know how to find traffic, or they can't afford to find traffic, or they don't have a tech background and it's all stressful. So with Amazon, they have a very unique proposition, which is we'll warehouse your stuff, we'll find the customers, we'll send the stuff out for you, and we'll all do all this remarketing on your product. Like when you go look at something on Amazon, they remarket you over and over trying to get you to buy. They take care of everything. Yeah. All you really have to do is find the product and make it better than the others in the market. And Amazon will bring everything else. That's to me remarkable. And I've seen people with limited background in any kind of business go onto Amazon and succeed. And that's a very rare thing to see, and that's why people are drawn to Amazon. But that being said, I'm not overly concerned because mostly people are stuck in their fears of spending as little as possible, taking as little risk as possible, thinking that's the smart thing to do, but it's actually the most dangerous thing to do in competitive markets.
Okay. Everything you said, I love how unsexy but real it was. It was, right? I don't feel like people sort of talk about all business is tough, right? We take on a lot, right? When we say yes to this journey, and people I don't think understand when they say yes what they're getting into, which is probably a good thing, right? But you have a really valid point in that Amazon does do so much for you. It's kind of ridiculous how much they do for you. That being said, when we start looking 5 to 10 years out, do you still think that it will just be those people trying to hit that not cheap, but you know what I mean, invest as little as they can, and that's where it's going to implode and the rest is going to be okay? Or do you really think like it'll change 5-10 years from now?
I think it's Pareto's principle. There's always going to be 80-20, although it's probably more 80-10 or 95-5. There are people who approach, like Steve dropped some really good knowledge bombs in that podcast with you where he said, I don't start something unless I'm doing it for 3 years. And he sort of passed over that comment. That's such a common trait in millionaires, that They think very, very carefully about what they're going to enter into, and they don't expect results for 2 to 3 years. Whereas the average punter new in business expects results now or in 6 months or 3 months, or they'll just buy the course from the guy who tells them what they want to hear. And that's why most people don't become millionaires, So I think what Amazon's doing, and I was on Sky Business News here about a week ago because Amazon just announced they're coming to Australia. And I spend probably 4 months a year in Australia and the rest in the US and Singapore. And they had me on to talk about the impact of Amazon on the Australian retail sector because they're very, very nervous here about the arrival of the big American company because we don't have Amazon here. And I said to them, look, what people need to understand is that Amazon is currently about $1 in $2 dollars that are spent in a US retail, online retail. Every second dollar is spent inside of Amazon, which is phenomenal. But where the growth is that Amazon and online retail still only represent a small portion of retail as a whole in America, and the rest of the world. And what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is you're going to see an enormous shift of capital from people going into brick and mortar retailers and spending it online. And Amazon's going to take a lion's share of that, especially with things like drones. Over Christmas, they did their first commercial drone delivery to a real customer. And that was a 13 minutes from click to delivery. So they clicked and they dropped it off in a little box in the backyard in 13 minutes. Now, if I was a brick and mortar retailer right now, I would be petrified because nobody, apart from 7-Eleven and a couple of other companies, are anywhere near Amazon when it comes to drones. Amazon's been at this for years trying to get this through in their technology. If you're a Walmart.com right now, you've got all this catching up to do. So Amazon's going to be pulling this huge billions of dollars from brick and mortar retailers into online retail. And Amazon is the number one. They are growing at an increased rate despite all the coming competition like Walmart and like Jet. They're still striding ahead of the competitors because they've been reinvesting. They haven't announced a profit for years and years and years because they invest everything they have into growth. So when people say, oh, Amazon's going to get saturated, I'm like, no, that's poverty mentality. There is a torrent of money coming to Amazon, and you just need to put your bucket into the river and show up with an amazing offering, not a good offering. You need an amazing offering. And the reason Australians need to worry about it is because in America, the American Amazon sellers who are working in a competitive market, all they need to do is just have their product shipped from China straight into the Aussie warehouses when they open. They're going to slaughter the Australian retail market because the standard's so much higher there.
Okay, now you're getting me excited. Amazon has robots. Of course we should go after Amazon. Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, it's funny though, because I'm a huge fan. I came from a tech background. I'm a huge fan of technology and where things are trending. Hence the reason why I ask 10-year questions instead of everybody else asking 3-year questions, right? And so when we start looking at where that is going, because you must be looking at that also, when we look at drones or whatever it is, because to me, I'm also one of those people. So I want it right this second. I order everything on Amazon. I literally, Instacart, I haven't been to the store in I don't know how long. Thank goodness I don't like shopping. But I've spent so much money on Amazon because I can click and it's ridiculously easy. So when we're looking at drones and stuff like that a couple years out, what do you think are those big, I don't want to say trends, but what are the things that are tried and true that will be there for a really long time? Because I know people trying to get on Amazon care about this product stuff so much. Do you think that there's an actual thing that you can go by to find the right product?
Yeah, common sense, which is not that common. I think what's happening is I think people are getting tired of rubbish products, and that people, people underestimate. They always think everybody has no money. America has 13 million millionaires. So you guys over there live in this land of incredible wealth. I moved to America 5 years ago to start my animation company and became a millionaire in a couple of years doing a simple little business that I started for less than 20 grand. Just off that business, I became a millionaire. And I was like, my American friends were going, well, we've never seen somebody work as hard as you. And I go, that's because I'm an immigrant. I'm 5 times more likely to be successful than you because you take it for granted. You have 320 million consumers, all with credit cards who love to shop. And you're sitting here saying, I have no money. It's crazy. Like, you have such a massive opportunity, but the beautiful thing with Amazon is that opportunity extends globally. So if you think America's too crowded, go and send your products to Amazon UK, where you can rank on page 1. If your product's great, which most products on Amazon are crap, if you have a good product, or if you have a great product, a product you spent 6 months going back and forward in the research phase with a Chinese supplier, if you become that, like I have on WhatsApp, my supplier who texts me, that's the relationship I have with her. She sends me photos on the packing day. She sends me photos of her getting on the train to go to the factory to do the work and all this stuff. And she goes to trade shows because she has to sell products. And she goes, Mr. Adam, I've been going around the trade show and I found some really weird stuff that I know that you'll like, because my mandate to them is show me the weird stuff. I want to see stuff that's visually differentiated. I don't want anything that looks like anybody else is selling. And she sends me photos of other products, and she acts as a buyer's agent for me then and buys it for me. She says, how much do I have to get this for? And I tell her, and then she negotiates her margin in there. But I tell her I want the weird stuff. I want the stuff nobody else wants. I want to know, because when it goes on Amazon, Amazon's like Tinder. The first thing we look at is the photo, right? And
good. Give us Tinder tips. I like this. Go ahead.
So, I look for products that look visually differentiated, because that's the first battle on the Amazon battlefield, is to have something that looks unique, something that's shaped differently or whatever. So, what I'm saying is that, what was the question? I've lost the line of thought for the question.
It is 6 a.m. over there, by the way. I did too. Don't feel bad. Because what you were saying, I actually have a follow-up. Because when I was in Thailand, everybody, as I said on Steve's, if you guys haven't listened to that interview yet, was all about Amazon. But they were saying now you have to go and fly to China or fly to Thailand and source your stuff specifically. And a lot of people can't do that. So the fact that you actually have somebody that you know and trust, which is, kind of hard to find, that can actually do that research and stuff like that for you is insane. I'm assuming you had to build that relationship with them for a while. So how many times did you have to go back and forth in order to have that good of a relationship?
I only went to China for the first time last year. I was buying from her for 3 years. I found her on Alibaba and got on, and just built a relationship. I did a 2-pallet order when I first began, and now we ship in containers, of course. But started with a 2-pallet order, built a relationship. But I do little things, Jamie, that most people don't do. So when I get quotes from Alibaba suppliers, I say to them, okay, I really appreciate your quote. Thank you very much. Can I ask you, if I was prepared to pay 20% more than what you've quoted, what could you do to this product to make it amazing? And nobody asked that question, because the average person is like, oh, I'm starting my first business. I need to price negotiate. They get 5 quotes in, and then they email back the ones that say, look, I like your price, but I need it to be cheaper because over here I've got a cheaper supplier. And my suppliers look at me and they're like, I said, look, I'm going to be selling on Amazon. And on Amazon, quality matters, because the first thing people do is review. And if this product is not A1 plus, I am wasting my money with you. I'm going to just lose my money. And I want to make a product that I can charge a premium for. I want to be here for the long term. And the Chinese respect the heck out of that, because nobody does it. They all treat the Chinese like crap. They treat them poorly. They negotiate ruthlessly with them. And the Chinese will say yes to everything and then just take quality out of the product in ways you would never even think of, because you're not the expert. So, if you sell this iPhone case, they say, yeah, well, we can make that case at that price. And what they do is they strip out some sort of chemical in there that will make sure it's black, and then it turns all cheese colored or something,
Cheese.
But the economy, the mathematics behind that is, if I'm buying an iPhone case for $1, if I offer them another 20 cents, that's probably going to go close to doubling the margin they would have made on the first quote. But I get a product I only need 20 cents extra for at the market to recover my capital. In reality, I can probably get $2 extra or $3 extra for the changes that they'll make. And when it comes to stitching or packaging, whatever, you can do a lot with 20%, $1 or $2. If you're buying products for $5 or $10, you're really starting to get additional things. So I look for real quality, not just lip service. I really spend time, and I'll send something back 4, 5, 6 times and never say it's good enough, because I'm speaking up for my customers once at the start instead of apologizing forever. And, that's the key to building up. Like I did an interview in the UK with a press outlet there, webretailer.com. And the headline for my story was "The Lazy Amazon Seller," because I literally spend probably, 10 minutes a day on my Amazon business, 7 figures a year business. I got no employees. Actually, I got 1 part-time employee in Thailand and nothing else. And it's ridiculous how little time I spend on it. because of the work that went in at the start, where I was a brutal product tester for my own products.
So on that start, because you were saying the first 1-2 years, you're not going to make a lot. And how much time are we talking to invest before we actually start seeing a return 2 years later?
Okay, so you mentioned the book, The Dip, with Steve Chow, with Seth Godin's book. And the dip in Amazon, in my opinion, is the first 12 months. Because in reality, what people generally do is they buy a course of some description, and they think they're going to get through that in a week, and it takes them a month because they got kids and a life and all the other things that go on. And then they're going to procrastinate for another month or two, or they'll follow the Facebook community until one day somebody who joined with them posted they made $10,000 last month, and they go, oh my God, I got to do that Amazon thing. So the first year is this getting education, reaching out to a supplier, going back and forward, getting samples. It could be, on average in our course, it's 6 months for the rabbits, for the quick ones before they have a product live, and it's 9 months on average before they have their first product live.
Wow.
By the time they've done their research back and forward and done their photography and really spent the time. And then they get the products in, and then you're still not ready to go, because the next thing you need to do is get at least 10 reviews on Amazon. You're not really in business till you have 10 reviews, because your business isn't in any state that people trust it yet. So then you spend the next month getting 10 reviews by breaking Amazon's terms of service and getting your friends and family to buy it, refunding them privately and asking them to write a nice review. And then you're at the start line. You have a good product which has enough reviews that people trust it, because there's not a big difference in conversion from 10 to 100 reviews. The conversion rate happens again when you get over 100, but from 10 to 100, it doesn't matter whether you got 10 or 20 or 30, it's all the same conversion rate-wise, pretty close. So it can take 9 to 12 months to have a product. Now, most people go, oh, I can't do that, I need money now. Well, do something else. Amazon's not the right thing, because if you do Amazon properly and you don't want to get slaughtered when you get there, that's what it takes. To do that. And then all of a sudden you start getting an email from Amazon saying, oh, we're sending you $3,000. And you go, oh, that's pretty awesome. And you get another one next month. You go, oh my goodness, these things are going to keep coming. And then they keep coming and coming. And then you get paid by Amazon. You go, oh, now I need to restock because I didn't buy enough. My brother's a perfect example. My older brother had an engineering company, multi-million-dollar business, 3 young kids under 10. And he said, I want to start this Amazon thing after 4 years watching me, so I'm going to start. So it started last year. He bought $15,000 worth of inventory. He sold it out in 30 days. He put it on Amazon, turned it over at 40% margin. He went, holy smokes, like I didn't think that would work.
See, gosh, you saying that. So I'm so used to people going the low ends, but your brother, service-based businesses that are really, really successful, you already know business, and yet you feel like this is really, really important, which... Anyway, I just haven't heard that perspective. I've heard a lot of Amazon sellers, don't get me wrong, and I think that's awesome, but it's never been to this level. So that's really interesting. I should test it. That's what I said with Steve too.
There was a big Amazon course that sold tens of thousands of people into a course, and they all said $0 to $40 products that are in the top 100, which they changed to the top 1,000. But the problem is everybody's doing that.
Yep.
And the top 1,000 bestseller list doesn't mean anything. It just means they're selling the most of them. I don't care if I sell the most of anything. I care if I sell something at a profit. So my
Business 101.
My average product is ranked over 20,000 in the bestseller rank. Over 20,000, and I make a ton of money. So my older brother, to finish that story, this past Christmas, in December, and he only got his stock back in October. So he's really only been on the platform for 4 months. In Christmas, he did about $150,000 in December just for the month, and I think he did close to 100 in November as well. In his very first year, he sold his engineering company towards the end of last year, and now he's at home full-time with his family, paid off his mortgages, and is an Amazon seller with a very simple range of products. He's got 14 products that are very simple but differentiated, beautifully photographed and so on.
Do you think, though, considering he had a lot of business, you have a lot of business, right? So do you think that somebody that is not necessarily an amazing business owner and owned multiple companies beforehand has the same opportunity as him to be able to do something like that?
Absolutely, because neither of us went to the market. Like, people will accuse me of being a good salesperson because of my personality. I love to talk, and you would be the same.
Yep.
But I don't sell any of this stuff. I'm not there selling. I just have a normal, my listing copy is actually pretty average. I could improve it. But I've got amazing photos, which I didn't take. I've got an amazing logo on the box, which I didn't design. I use 99 Designs. If you want an amazing name for your business, I'm just launching a brand. I used a company called Squad Help. And for $150, I got 800 business names. And I was blown away by the thought people had put into these things. I would never have thought of the things they came up with. So I didn't come up with the name. I didn't come up with the logo. All I did was spend hours and hours and hours combing through Alibaba catalogs for the diamonds, for the needle in the haystack, that one product that looked really cool, that if photographed correctly would look incredible. So, and that photographed correctly thing is a really important thing. Like, it's sick. I mean, I look at an iPhone case. If I was going to sell this, I look at it and I hold it, and people go, dude, you've got like a foot fetish thing for iPhone cases, because that's how I look at it. I look for the beauty in it. Like an iPhone charger cord has engineering in it that's not showcased properly in photography. People just lie it out on like a white T-shirt they bought from Kmart and take a photo. Whereas I'd get that thing 3D scanned and a close-up of where the cable joins the nozzle. You know what I mean? Like, yep. I really think, how do I sell the features that are here? Because that's where the work is. It's in those soft things. It's not in business skills. It's in understanding when people buy something online, the photographs is as close as they're going to get to touch it. Are those photographs amazing? Study Rolex, study Mercedes-Benz, study Montblanc. Look at the way they photograph their products. And if yours aren't up to that speed, reinvest in a better photographer.
Okay, so what if, though, that we picked the wrong product, even if we had is there a wrong product that you can pick? Because like you said, it matters on photography and everything, but what if it's crappy? Not the product itself, but the market for it.
There are wrong products. So that's where tools like ZonGuru, Jungle Scout, and so on can help you do that research. ZonGuru does a similar thing to Jungle Scout. We have a different methodology. We actually track inventory levels, so you know exactly what the sales are. But so you can do that. So there is a little bit of that softer sense. Like when I looked at my niche, everybody was selling the product I sell for 40 for 20. That was the top of the market. And I was like, but people give this as a gift. And if this has an amazing box and because the photos here are pretty average, I would pay $40 and not 20 if the box looks amazing, because I'm given the box, really. I want people to go, oh, wow, when they open it from me. So that was just common sense of like, there's let's say it was a pens, Parker pens, like nice pens. Everybody's selling $20 pens in an okay box, whereas you put in an amazing box with a silver embossed logo or whatever. You know what I mean? You'll get an extra $10 for that. So there's some soft sort of business skills, but they're more sort of life skills, common sense skills of trusting your gut and trusting your instinct a little bit. Whereas some people that wouldn't work if you're selling, certain products, the box doesn't matter. So there are some softer skills that are in there. And the worst case scenario, Jaime, is if you get a product that's just a dud product, you sell it for your Chinese cost plus your freight and duties, which should be, if you've done it right, if you buy a product for $1, you should be retailing it for $4 to $5 on Amazon. So you've got a lot of margin to come down by the time, you're losing money.
When do you realize that, though? When you're like, okay, let's get rid of it. Let's do something else. When is that time?
Well, hopefully before you started, but if you are stuck there, basically write down a list of everything you could do to get this product working and join a mastermind, or if you've bought a course, usually there's masterminds attached with those things. And if you've done everything you can, then just clear it out and start again. And in business, it's not a case of everybody's afraid if they're going to fail. Let me give you the tip. You're going to fail. Everybody's going to fail. I failed.
Jeez, ouch.
At the same time I started my Amazon business, I started a flight simulator business in Los Angeles, and I closed the door on it. I spent $170,000 opening a 747 flight simulator off Hollywood Boulevard to try and attract tourists in, and I had to close the doors. It just didn't fail.
So awesome, though, man.
It sounds awesome. And everybody I told about that was like so excited about the flight sim. I thought, no, that Amazon thing sounds boring, but that flight sim's sick. And so it had nothing to do with me as the entrepreneur, right? It wasn't about me. It was the model, and people beat themselves up all the time. But at the end of the day, if you're on a dog, you're on a dog. You're not going to win the horse race. You need to get off the dog and onto a horse. And
never heard that before. I'm sorry. I'm too busy laughing about the dog and the horse race. But that's a really valid point. Go ahead.
Well, the personal development world tells us it's all about us. If you're failing, it's because of you. You got to look in your heart and find out where your limited thinking is. You know what? That's crap. Sometimes businesses are crap. It's just a crappy business.
But you won't know until you gosh darn do it, and that's what's such a pain in the butt. That's why this stuff matters, even though we don't want to have to deal with failure at all. How'd you come back from that, by the way?
I just copped 100 grand kick in the guts. You just keep going. You just have to move on. And I have failed at way more than I've succeeded at. Like I could give you a resume of all the businesses I tried and failed. I've owned a hair salon. I've owned a flight simulator business. I mean, I've owned so many different things. And, I get excited about Amazon because it's a thing where I can see that most people can't see the way, that the fear rules. And I'm not a fearful person. So I love that market.
I really do want your resume list of all the failures. It makes everybody else feel better. Seriously. And knowing that you're ridiculously smart and you also fail, which that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, but I don't think I can say it enough that yes, everybody fails. Yes, we go through whatever we need to go through and you pick yourself back up and do it again anyway. What did you tell yourself? Because any failure hurts, no matter how much money you have in the bank. Any failure hurts, no matter how much it is, really. Unless, you're just throwing out money, assuming you're going to lose it for gambling. But when you lost that, what do you tell yourself to get back on the horse, the real horse, not the dog?
Well, it's an interesting question. One of the videos we send out to people who are interested in our program is a video where I tell a story about a few years ago. I was flat broke almost. I'd lost everything. I took my company public, which I mentioned, and it's a great headline story. I probably had $12 million in stock. It was only a small public listing in the scheme of public listings, but I had about $12 million in shares, addition to a property portfolio that, and I was, I guess you could say I was doing pretty well. And then 2008 happened and the stock market just collapsed and our business was in a very speculative area and my 12 million turned into 300 grand in a month. And I couldn't sell it because I was still escrowed. So 1 month ago, I'm thinking I'm king of the world. And then a month later, I have $300,000 of stock I couldn't sell. The company's hemorrhaging money. I had to sell all my investment properties at rock bottom prices to get the equity back that I had in them. And I had to pump it all into the company to save it. The CEO walked out. I walked in and I spent the next year and a half working for free to save this company, which basically almost sent me broke. And I had to start going door to door selling a text message marketing service. It was the only thing I could think of that nobody was doing here. And so I tell the story of how I drove down to the local shopping strip and got out of my car and I said, I'm going to go in here. I had a little flip chart that was on paper and to explain my services. And I got out of the car and I walked into the first store and looking, because I was going to talk to the business owner and tell them how I would send marketing text messages to their customers. I walked in and then I talked myself out of it and walked out before talking to anybody because I was afraid. Then I went to the next one, same thing, next one, same thing. Within about half an hour, I'd walked up and down this street and then I got back to my car and started making excuses. And then I sat in the car, I was about to turn the key and I just had this moment of realization. And I was like, Adam, if you turn that key, you will never be successful because this is it. This is your moment that you either get out of the car and go and sell that product that you designed and is good and get over your fear, or you just drive home and get a job for the rest of your life because it's never going to get easier. So I got out of the car and the first coffee shop I went into signed up and it was a $100 a month recurring payment to me. And then I did 2 more sales that day. I had $300 a month recurring income at the end of the first day. And then I built that business and that eventually got me out of it and then into America and I ended up franchising it. But there was that moment where time, fate, and circumstance said, well, Adam, what is it going to be? You're going to be one of these people who step back and just get a job, or you're going to, and this is 15 years into an entrepreneurial career. I was unemployable. So, and then from now, and I've failed since then as well, now I'm just like, it's not about me. If I fail, I did the best I could do. The market didn't like what I was selling, change, or sit back in the car, go get a job and be a loser. So for me, and so that was the moment of truth for me. And my life turned around from there. I never looked back and I built back everything I lost and more.
Okay, so when we talk about failure, we're talking the epic worst that you could ever even fathom what you would have to do. Yeah, especially having to knock on doors and really have that same experience when you had $12 million beforehand, right? You're like, no, I'm past that. What the heck?
I had $12 million and I was knocking on coffee shop and asking, if I could
100
get 10
bucks.
minutes of their time to sell them a $300 a month service. That's where I had to start again, because that's how broke I'd gotten in a year and a half of trying to save a company.
Say, anybody who's listening to this right now, stop your silly excuses. Like, it's funny because I'm actually going to show this end piece to my children, because we tried walking around to neighborhoods because they wanted to sell. We were selling rosemary for $2. They couldn't make it to the door and they cried instead, right? And I'm like, it's okay. Like, but showing that you went through the exact same thing, not children way different than adults, but everybody goes through this exact same thing. And the fact that you talked yourself up out of it is ridiculously inspiring. So I know we have to start ending soon. I love that story. Anybody that's listening, you have no freaking excuse. Just saying. All right. So Adam, I have to ask the last question. I want to have you back on the show though. You've got so much wisdom in there. Maybe we'll do it in person when you're in the US next time. But what's one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of 1 million?
I think the biggest action is really to sit down and just write your goals. And I know we hear this over and over, but most people still don't write their goals, and extend the time frame on the goal, because I'm a huge believer in Tony Robbins' statement that we overestimate what we can do in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. If you can just move into that mindset that Steve Chow mentioned, and I'll reiterate, think about a 3-year time horizon, not a 1-year time horizon, because 3 years goes like that. It gives you that little bit of breathing room to, if you start a business and you go, I'm not expecting to make money in 12 months, you approach that business very differently to the person next to you who says, I need to make money in 6 months. If I was going to invest in one of those two businesses at the end of 12 months, I'd invest in the guy who spent a year getting the product ready every single time. So I would set your goals, extend your timeline, really stop and think about what you want in life and write it down, because it's very, very scary what actually shows up when you do that.
Patience is a hard thing for us impatient entrepreneurs, but one of the most important skill sets that you should try and learn when you're going through, I can tell. So thank you so much for coming on. Where can we find more about you and your wisdom in business in general?
Probably the first place is reliable.education. So www.reliable.education. You can find our software at zonguru.com. We have a seller photo company launching soon for sellers who sell e-commerce products called sellerphoto.com. The website will be live shortly. Any of those places is probably the best place to find us. If you're an Amazon seller and you want help launching, look at Market Hustle with no E on the end.com. We help Amazon sellers get a fast start with launching their products, getting velocity on the platform.
Smart man that goes, oh, need in business, go make another company. Oh, need in business, oh, make another company. Diversification within one specific thing. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it, Adam.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you want to check out more amazing resources, I'm only curating the best of the best. Go check out eventualmillionaire.com. You can take the Eventual Millionaire quiz, figure out where you are in business and what you need right now. Plus, you can look at curated resources specifically for you on the new Start Here page. I'm so excited. Please join us. Please let me know if you need anything at all. I'm here for you. And have a fantastic day. Bye.